Yep, we're live to preview the third ODI. I know कि भाई 2-0 का unassailable lead इंडिया ने ले लिया है. So you might wonder कि boss क्या होगा यहाँ पे, but I'm pretty sure the Protean side won't be looking at it that way. They definitely have a lot of pride to play for, especially the way they fought it all out in the second ODI and almost clinching it, almost writing the name in the history books. They are definitely excited for the third ODI as well, right?
Absolutely, Akshay. I've been reading this discourse online that it's a dead rubber, there's nothing to play for. But I think South Africa has so much to offer, right? If the first two ODIs have just given us a glimpse of what this team possesses, the greatness. The second ODI, I mean, we can probably dedicate an entire episode or so, just talking about how remarkable that was, the fight they put up. They just lost by a whisker there by 4 runs. It could have been, anyone's game, barest of the margins. But today, not just for pride, right? They're playing for those crucial points as well. You have the ICC Women's Championship that's happening. You want to gain that direct qualification for the World Cup that's happening in India. You don't want to go through the qualifiers route because it gets a little messy there. So South Africa definitely, would want to get those 2 points, and a win is certainly the only way to go for them.
Win is certainly the way to go for them, 100%. And if I remember it correctly, India are due to play a lot of ODIs based on the table I'd seen before the series began. They've played only 15, or rather 9 games. No, 15 or 9 games, either one of them. They have 15 games remaining. Then they've played 9, they've won 7. They have 15 more to play, so plenty of ODIs for them as well before the ODI World Cup that's scheduled to happen in India next year. So fingers crossed that also potentially happens in a way where we can also remember a lot of it. But coming to the game again, Neha, toss update अब तक आया नहीं है. Live stream ये लोग 1:20 को start करते हैं, so clearly we also won't be entirely aware कि चल क्या रहा है. So let's see what happens over there. But what are you expecting? Any few sort of players, especially from the Indian side, now that they've clinched the series, expecting a few experiments, a few new names being thrown into the ring? Priya Punya, for example.
Yeah, I think that's one change India can definitely consider, right? Because Shefali Verma's form has been so up and down this series, more, on the lines of down. She's taken time to build her innings, but hasn't been able to convert her starts. And somewhere, this whole chatter about her not being able to make the most of her form or, opportunities in ODI cricket is starting to crop up. So perhaps this is the right time for India to, bring in someone like a Priya Punya. India has the series lead of 2-0, and this is the perfect opportunity, to bring in someone like a Priya Punya. Also, I heard, that Renuka Singh Thakur was apparently rested ahead of the second ODI, so as to be fit enough for the other assignments we have, which was quite surprising. And we also came across this news of Shabnam Shakil, right? She was added to the squad as well. So that is another interesting prospect. And I think it's too early to, just toss her in international cricket. She's just 17. We don't want the pressure of, international cricket just crawling in her, creeping into her game, so to say. So, I mean, India can definitely enforce some interesting changes. But when you look at Amol Majumdar's, like, so far his philosophy and everything, he's the kind of man who just wants to go for the win, right? So, in all likelihood, we might see the same side from the second ODI, just so, India can go for that win in the third one and whitewash the series 3-0, wipe away all of those tears of that 2021 series, where things clearly did not go our way. So a lot of interesting combinations that India can explore, but will they is the big question.
Yeah, definitely. Will they? Will be a big question that way. And Amol Mazumdar definitely have liked what I've seen of him so far in terms of the way he shepherds the team around and the way he sort of manages. Sure, I might not agree with a couple of those experiments, Richa Ghosh in particular, but even then, thought process dekh raha hai wahan pe kar kya rahe hain, what are they looking for, what are they aiming for. So that way, all's good. So let's see. And Raghav, meanwhile, asks us, कि यार टॉस कब होगा यार? भाई टॉस तो हो गया है. टाइम 1-5 है, तो मतलब टॉस तो डेफिनेटली जो थिन्नास्वामी गए मैच देखने उनको तो पता होगा कि टॉस हो गया एंड व्हाट इज द अपडेट ओवर देयर. बट अपने को थोड़ा लेट ही पता चलेगा अनफॉर्चुनेटली. बट
Actually, we just got the update on ESPN that says South Africa have won the toss and will opt to bat first. We will see India in a run chase today.
correct, exactly. Like the first ODI, that is, India won the toss, opted to bat first. South Africa won the toss in the second ODI, opted to field first. And this time
Yeah.
around, once again, they've sort of, reverted back to what we saw in the first ODI. Not sure what the pitch report says. We'll, of course, share that piece of information as well as in when we get privy to it. Because of that surface because of the strip that they played on in the first ODI. You'd want to believe कि आज भी शायद वैसे वाली strip पे खेल रहे, if not the very same. Which is why South Africa have opted to bat first. I'm all for it, but it'll be very interesting now because if my memory serves me right, in the second ODI when India batted first, first 5 overs went for just 6 runs. First 10 overs went for about 28 runs, so it was a fairly sedate start. So expect something similar, especially because should Renuka Singh come in, Neha, again, she'll also love bowling on a surface like this if it's that spicy.
Absolutely, because coming from the WPL where she had a very difficult run, then the Bangladesh series happened. She regained her confidence, got you those crucial wickets, and we got to see again, glimpses of that Renuka Singh Thakur, bowling those amazing juicy in swingers in that first ODI. To seeing her again being rested in that second ODI was definitely not a pleasant sight, being rested. But if she's coming back here, I think she'll definitely make the most of the surface because we've seen right how successful she is versus the South African batters, especially versus Laura Wolfart, who is quite literally, the backbone and the fulcrum of that South African batting effort. So in that sense, if she's making a comeback, I would be very excited. But again, we'll have to see workload management. This is a term that has been thrown around a lot now, considering the number of assignments each of our men's and women's team has been going through. It's about just making the most of all the players you have in your setup, right? So if Renuka plays today, I think the conditions will definitely suit her. And a few minutes back, it looked overcast, but now it looks sunny. Hopefully, it stays like this. Again, it's closer to my place, but near the stadium, you can never say what the situation is like. But I hope we get to see a full game today. And India in a run chase is definitely an interesting prospect, right? Both the times in this series, we've seen India bat first, put up decent scores. But chasing is something we should definitely experiment with that ODI World Cup coming up very soon, right?
100% they should test themselves as much as possible to sort of understand what's working for them, what isn't, that's for sure. Meanwhile, Raghav also goes on to say, I'm a big fan of your channel. Thank you so much, Raghav. Hope you've subscribed to us if you haven't already. He asks us, Smriti's third consecutive turn loading. Oh my goodness. Sure, I mean, the expectations will be at an all time high. Bangalore में खेल रही है, second home for her and whatnot. But क्या लगता है, Neha?
I mean, look, in all fairness, in an ideal world, we would have loved that, right? Third consecutive century happening for the first time in women's cricket. Everyone is excited. But I think we should keep our expectations in check because so far we have seen, right, how Smriti Mandana has been building her innings. And we never saw a century coming, but it just happened. So sometimes just keeping your expectations low would bring you the most interesting outcomes as well. So although Smriti Mandana has been in this purple patch, again, I want to see if they will play her today because I think Jeet was bringing up this point last time around of how Priya Punya can be slotted in place of Smriti Mandana. So we give Shefali another go and have Priya open because Smriti is already in the purple patch, right? So that is another interesting combination that perhaps India can experiment with, but they probably wouldn't because why would you want to take out an in-form, in-rhythm Smriti Mandana from that setup just to experiment someone new, right? So that probably is going to be something I'll be looking forward to. But if Smriti Mandana does get to that third century, no one's complaining. In fact, go for 150, and yeah, we'd be the happiest, I suppose.
We'll definitely be the happiest over there. And her highest score, she got to her highest score in the second ODI. 136, if I'm not wrong, is her highest ODI score. So 150 is definitely welcome. We all sort of will be hoping for something like that. If not her, someone else for sure. No complaints on that front. A few changes for both sides. Let's just have the 11th in a bit though. But Priya Punya is back. Neha, she is
Ooh.
making a comeback. She has replaced Shefali Verma in the 11. Thoughts on that? Let's start with it. Sorry, Shefali Verma bolta hu, she's replaced Dailan Hemlata in the 11. So could potentially be slotting in at number 3 this time around. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, first up, really surprised that Priya Punya makes it back into the squad, into the playing 11, but in place of Dial and Hemlata. I mean, Hemlata again, right? She's been in and out of that Indian team so many times, has made her mark in domestic cricket, made her come back to the Indian team just to be dropped and, chopped and changed around, which is quite unfortunate. But just looking at Priya Punya as well, right? I think the kind of journey she's had as well. I think the last time around, she played against South Africa. Her highest ODI score of 77 is also versus South Africa. So definitely this opposition holds, a special place in her heart, I suppose. But having her come in at number 3 is again interesting because usually we've seen Priya Punya open the innings, right? Because that's a position she's comfortable at. But this could be a move from India in the lines of, because Shefali is not in the best possible form. You have someone like a Priya Punya who can complement Smriti Mandana, because again she offers you that left-right combination. For if we lose Shefali Verma early on, but I'm still hoping they'd put Jemima at number 3, because again her game is kind of centered and curated to be best in that place. Just rotate strike, hit those boundaries, just keep running and complement the opening batters really well. But Priya Punya in recent times also, when you look at her domestic numbers, hasn't set the record ablaze, but she has been doing consistently well. And if the team management does have faith in her and her abilities, I'm very excited to see how she goes and makes the most of the opportunities, because as I've been saying, problems of abundance is always a great thing to have. If you have so many batters vying for the same spot, it's always good, healthy competition. But let's see how she goes today.
For sure, yeah. And to be honest, I'm also looking forward to seeing this supposedly new version of Priya Punya, where the talk, or rather the chatter around Priya Punya has been the sort of uh,
Strike rate.
this version, yeah. Jampi, she's become a lot more aggressive. She's been a lot more attacking, which is what I'm also sort of interested in seeing. And again, it sort of makes me wonder that India is very clear that they want an attacking number 3. They want at least one attacking batter in the top 3. Shefali Verma ideally would have played that role, but given her sort of poor run of form, they've decided to still stick with her and have an attacking number 3, which is why Jemmy has been slotted in at number 5. So it was Richa Ghosh earlier, then Hemlata, and now it is Priya Punya. So Neha, it's clear that there is a pattern emerging there. They want that attacking option in the top 3 for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why, we see this constant chopping and changing and experimenting, which in a way is good, because you have the World Cup that's coming up next year. Might as well use all of these bilateral series to, kind of figure out who will fit that role perfectly. And right now with Priya Punya, again, as I've been saying, she's more suited for an opener's role. But because they want to give Shefali a longer run, it makes sense to have Priya come in at 3. Dylan Hemlata must be feeling bad, hey, what have I done wrong? In just 2 outings, I'm not getting the longer role. But I think looking at the larger vision, I hope there is communication happening, because that communication being transparent with the coach or the selection panel with the player who has been dropped is extremely important. And yeah, let's see how Priya Punya kind of fares at number 3, because today is a run chase. Things are going to be different, because there's a set target you have to chase. So how does she kind of get her tools ready and bats and gets into that mindset? I think is that's what's making me more excited.
Definitely, definitely. Lots to look forward to, and of course, a batter making her come back into the 11. And like Neha mentioned, she was a part of the squad. She was, in fact, opening alongside Smriti Mandana the last time these two sides took on in India, which was a good 3 years ago, if I'm not wrong. But one more change for India, Neha. One RCBN replaces the other. Asha Shobna goes out, presumably rested, can't say dropped, for Shriyanka Patil. What do you make of that change? Because we all had spoken about how Shriyanka Patil could potentially get the call in, but we didn't know who would sort of be the casualty, who would be the one walking out of the 11. Asha Shobna is the one clearly. So, kya lagta, happy with that change? Or like, Thurup Maktop goes on to say कि भाई राधा यादव कोई ड्रॉप कर लेते यार मतलब चल क्या रहा है why are you dropping a leg spinner in Asha Shobna? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, just reflecting on this one. Now, when you look at Asha her a little bit under pressure, we could see how South Africa's kind of building on those partnerships and everything, and we couldn't see her be exactly effective. Again, it depends a lot on the pitch and conditions and everything. So probably that could have prompted the decision. If someone has to get the axe, might as well be Asha Sharma, not dropping her. So just giving an opportunity to someone else, and someone like Shriyanka Patil who's coming and playing in her home conditions is ideal, right? Because she knows these conditions in and out. I'm pretty sure she's been working with her coach as well, how to get those right lens, bowl in the right areas, and just get those wickets. And seeing Shriyanka as a possible prospect, even going ahead for the ODI setup is something, that excites me, because she brings in that extra batting option as well, right? She can bat lower in the order, adds a lot of depth to the batting as well. So in that sense, I think it was a good move to get her in now, and it kind of, makes her a good prospect for the ODI scheme of things as well. Unfortunate for Asha, but I'm sure, in much better conditions, Asha will be a force to reckon with. But Shriyanka making it today is really a nice thing.
Fair enough, and again, she didn't sort of do too badly in the series against Australia as well. I'm just trying to think of that the Herman post-match presentation debacle. Did it happen in the ODI series or was it the T20Is? जहाँ पे वो हुआ था? It was
I
probably the
think it was the
T20Is.
T20. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Fair enough, fair enough. ठीक है, but those are the two changes for India. South Africa, meanwhile, also have a change, and no, unfortunately, Jeet Sinal Ujapta, continues to miss out. Unfortunately, she's still out, ruled out with a concussion. Let's hope she is fit and running for the Test series and the T20 are scheduled later. But the change, of course, is Tumi Sekukune comes in for Masabata class. Again, not sure if this is an injury forced replacement ki kya hua hai wahan pe, but Neha, what do you make of that sort of swap there?
Yeah, again, very surprised because when you look at Masabata class and how she has been bowling in these two ODIs, it has been good, right? She's been restricting the run flow, has been getting you wickets. So again, the move did not entirely make sense to me. But having someone like a Tumi Sekukhane coming in is a great move, right? She's also a pacer, can derive a lot from the surface, get you those early wickets. Is an experienced campaigner for South Africa. I mean, she's been playing for what, a good 6 to 7 years now. So in that sense, I'm very confident about her abilities and how she can, kind of trouble the Indian batters as well. But South Africa trying to experiment and tweak their playing 11 in a kind of important match is very surprising. But it again goes to show, right? They want to go for the win at any cost, even if it means, swapping a few players here and there, because there are those crucial ICC Women's Championship points to fight for. So let's see how Sekou Khane can, kind of make that impact today. But I think they will miss the services of Masa Bataclan.
Yeah, very surprising things that because I don't think she done anything that sort of would have warranted the axe. We're still sort of unsure what the reasons are, so we'll have to wait on that. Meanwhile, no update on Marizan Karp as well in terms of whether she is going to be fit enough to be able to bowl. So it's fair to assume that she'll once again play for South Africa as a specialist batter. Not that they'll be complaining, given that 88 ball century she was able to notch up in the second ODI. If she's able to repeat that, then the more the merrier for sure. Even I'd be looking forward to something like that. But again, in terms of the bowling, Neha still it does not exude a lot of confidence. That inexperience is definitely going to come to play. And now that they're going to be batting first, that new ball value that they were able to extract in the second ODI won't be on offer. Potentially a repeat of the first ODI that way if their bowlers aren't able to chip in, with those crucial contributions, you might see India sort of, running away with the game with the bat in hand itself.
But actually, I think I have a slightly different take here because South Africa, is opting to bat first. I think they would want to make the most of all possible things, right? They want to post a massive total because see, when you look at India's bowling attack too, you have Arundhati Reddy and Pooja Vastrikar who will be like, operating at either ends. You don't have someone like a Renuka Singh Thakur, who's going to challenge you up front. So even if they have a slow start, I feel like they can still capitalize much later on and put up a big total as well. But I think conditions will be slightly challenging for them when they come to bowl in later. As you rightly said, they are. It does feel like a slightly weak, South Africa bowling attack. But seeing the change that has come in today, they would still, want to keep their heads up high and believe that they do stand a chance. But anything is possible. It depends largely on how much they put on the board today. Batting first, because anything less than 260, 270 is not going to challenge India massively. Because we've seen the trend of how India has been able to chase totals in excess of 250 when you have that one batter who's batting deep, batting long through the innings. So I think a lot will, hinge on how much South Africa gets batting first. That will kind of dictate the course of how their bowlers can defend it.
100% there, and Neha seems to sort of be bothered by a bit of internet. Hopefully, she is back now. But in terms of, yeah, there she is. Of course, a thumbs up helping us there. In terms of South Africa's batting, for sure, they would want at least one batter, to sort of just stick it through what basically Laura Wolfa did in the second ODI. Consume those deliveries at the top, wait for the, sort of relatively, lesser known bowlers, to put it politely, to attack and then the innings from there. It is important they don't lose wickets in a bunch, which is what happened in the first ODI, led to their collapse, and unfortunately they folded up for a paltry 120 if I'm not wrong. So very interested to see how they go about their business tonight. Once again, no Renuka Singh Thakur. It's going to be Pooja Vasrakar and Arundhati Reddy with the new ball. That could potentially once again go in Laura Wolfart and South Africa's favor, given that the kind of new ball value Renuka Singh Thakur offers. The other two, sure, in their own right, they're good enough new ball bowlers, but so you would imagine Renuka would have been an upgrade over them. So they will want to, cash in on that. Which is why, just let's take this question, Neha. Saurabh also goes on to say, do you think India need death bowlers rather than going for pitch and pace players like Arundhati Reddy and Pooja Vasrakar? I feel, I feel for both because again, once again, like I mentioned earlier, in their own right, they're good enough. Arundhati has a very good Yorker. We've seen that during the WPL. We've seen that in the last game as well. Jeet also spoke about how probably India got away with the blunder of not bowling Arundhati Reddy out over Pooja Vasrakar. But all in all, how do you look at this? Do you think we need specialist pacers or you're happy with Pooja and Arundhati the way they've bowled so far?
No, of course. I mean, having specialist pacers is definitely a boon, right? But then again, it really depends on the pitch and the conditions. Because if the pitch also requires you to have your batting deep, to have more batting options, that's definitely something you can benefit with if you have more all rounders. And talking about specialist pacers as well, this is an area of concern that has tortured India for long. I mean, after Julan Goswami left, a lot of pressure did fall. Who can be the next frontline pacer? For long, Renuka Singh Thakur has kind of shouldered this burden. We have still seen a lot of options coming in with Meghna Singh. Now you have Pooja Vastrakar and you have Pooja Vastrakar and Arundhati Reddy, but we'll be interested to see how they kind of make the most of the surface as well. But we have good pacers in our ranks as well. You have the likes of Saili Sadgare, you have Saima Thakur. I hope they groomed and nurtured really well, and even the Shabnam MD, right? So in that sense, yeah, I still think we have options.
The internet, meanwhile, is not being Neha's friend. Sorry to cut her there. Neha, just try and rejoin. I'll take a couple of the other questions in the meantime. Just try and rejoin us so that we can hear your thoughts and opinions on that. Lots more to discuss, of course, before live action begins at 1:30 p.m. sharp, of course. So, guys, tuning in, make sure the preview will be up for each and every game for the series. There's also the test series, not test series, unfortunately, the only test match that's going to happen starting on the 28th of June, and then there are the T20Is starting on the 5th of July. So we will be covering all of them. Make no mistake, one-stop shop for all your cricketing needs. We'll take a few more questions before Neha comes back and gives her thoughts on India's pace bowling attack and what she thinks of Pooja Vasrakar and Arundhati Reddy. Why not Annie Dirksen asks, Thurup Makhlop. Again, Annie Dirksen once again was a top stopgap fix. Nadine de Klerk wasn't available in the first game, which is why they decided to go for a like-for-like replacement in Annie Dirksen. She was also supposed to be a pace bowling all-rounder who could slot herself in that number 6, number 7 slot, and that helped. In the second ODI, Nadine de Klerk came back, so they did not see her see it or deem it well कि भाई दोनों को खिलाना एक साथ. And let's have Neha on. Let's hope the internet's better. Yes, seems fine now.
Okay.
And yeah, it seems fine so far, so good. Let's just hope it continues that way. Annie Dirksen also third ODI के लिए sense नहीं बनता because Nadine de Klerk है already. They probably wanted a proper pacer, which is why to me would be a more like-for-like replacement for Masa Bata class. But again, no there's no reason why they would have played both of them, right? Nadine and Annie Dirksen there. Neha?
Yeah, definitely. Because even Annery Deckerson, kind of coming in was a like for like replacement for ill Nadine de Klerk, right? So, although Annery Deckerson does show a lot of promise, and I think even in the presser, Nadine de Klerk had spoken about how, Annery has the potential to be the next big all rounder and everything. But then the first ODI wasn't exactly, giving us the perfect idea of that. I hope she gets a lot more opportunities. But versus a fully fit India, I think you should put your best players, and Nadine de Klerk gives you that option. So yeah, it's almost like a no-brainer that she makes the cut in place of Anne Deckerson.
And also going back to the point of the Indian pacers bit, there is Arundhati Reddy, Pooja Vasrakar, and Tita Sadhu. Thurup Maksup goes on to ask about her. Is she injured? She is injured, of course. She's not available for the series, which is why she's not a part of the squad as well. And it'll be interesting to see ki kya hota hai. She's not a part of any of the squads. Injury hai, she's still sort of rehabilitating from that. So let's hope she's also up and running if and when India next play, which is supposed to be tentatively against New Zealand a couple of months later. So yeah, fingers crossed on that. Why not replace her with class? Class ही तो बाहर गई है भाई. Class को आप class के साथ replace करना चाहते हो? Or is there another class that I'm missing out on? No, right? There's just one class.
Yeah, it's just one class. Yeah.
So
Oh, maybe Nadine de Klerk for Masabata class. अरे वो तो नहीं हो सकता ना. Masabata class doesn't offer you a batting option.
I'm sorry, why not replace her with class? As in, who do you think is he referring to here?
I think
I'm
to
guessing he.
Nadine. Nadine
हाँ.
de Klerk? Possible.
क्या बोल रहे हो भाई? Nadine de Klerk को that's what. Okay, he's clarified it. He or she
Yes.
has clarified it. They meant Anneri Dirksen for class. So Anneri Dirksen isn't a part of the 11 any which ways. Anneri Dirksen went out in the second ODI for Nadine de Klerk, so she's not a part of the 11 anymore. And
Exactly.
today, of course, it's to me, Sekha Khune, if I'm getting the pronunciation right, who's made her way into the side instead of Masabata class. So let's see kya hota hai wahan pe. But again, 5 minutes before we wrap this up, in terms of the game, Neha, Thurup, again, once again, just to sort of complete that conversation, India played with Deepti Snehrana and Sri Lanka Patil against Australia, but why to change that against South Africa? Asha Shobna is 100% a great value add, right? In terms of the variety that she brings into the 11, there's the leg spin that we badly wanted for India for a while now, and then on top of that, can lengthen the batting order as well. Make no mistake, she can handle the bat.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And let's see, how that kind of plays out. But just as thinking about this, like South Africa making this change does seem. Wait, did I lose you there, Akshay? Yeah. Yeah, South Africa, making this change also does bring in a lot of questions. Ki, matlab, itne important match mein, why would they kind of bring that in? But I think as the match progresses, we will kind of get more clarity, right?
Fair enough. And also, so far, so good in terms of the weather as well. The weather seems very nice, pleasant, not too sunny, not too overcast over here. So, fingers crossed, rain gods will ensure कि भाई बारिश तो वहाँ पे आएगा नहीं. We will get a proper 100 over encounter at the very least, if not more. But Neha, just final thoughts for us. Prediction time, क्या expect करें and stuff like that. Let's start with you, of course. Highest run scorer for both sides and winner.
Okay, so highest run scorer. Okay, for India, I'd definitely say the easy one would be to say against Smriti Mandana, but I think I'll go with Jemima this time. Because we have seen two very quiet ODIs from her bat, and I really think she can make that impact if given an opportunity. So I'll go with her. And for South Africa, I'd probably say Annika Bosch. I felt like she was building her innings really well in that second ODI, but somewhere that pressure was getting to her and she just threw her wicket away. So I think she can come really good. Laura Wolford again would have been the easy guess because she has been a top performer for South Africa, has raked in so many centuries this year that it doesn't even feel like a surprise anymore. And yeah, I think these are my top picks. And even looking forward to the matchup between Sunil and Smriti Mandana. If Smriti Mandana gets a ball, that's going to be hilarious because getting Sunil out again might just get the crowd all excited. But yeah, if Smriti Mandana bowls today, I think the Chinnaswamy crowd is going to be very, very excited.
नहीं बस हो गया. I hope they don't get greedy there, and I don't think it was a meritocratic decision कि भाई Smriti Mandana can actually be a value add over here. तो इसीलिए I
अरे
don't
no,
think that
Akshay.
was the thought process there. ऐसे ही दे
No,
दिया था कि
no.
भाई why not. हाँ.
No, there was a BCCI video that was released and which had conversation, which had Harman and Smriti in conversation. And apparently, in the batting camp, they spoke a lot about how batters, should also bowl a bit. And that's why Smriti Mandana actually made a case for herself. I can also bowl, I can get you wickets, and that's kind of what prompted Harman to give her the ball. Like they were having a very candid chat, no. So usme they were reflecting on the mindset of getting her to bowl. But yeah, again, third ODI, we really have to see if we are short of that fifth or sixth bowling option and you really, really want to bring in someone like Smriti, it's still a fair shout.
That's where, I mean, that's the only sort of the only merit to that argument is exactly what you said कि वो fifth bowling option को complete करना था,
Yeah.
so they just wanted to get done with the over, so which is pretty much why she got the over, the ball in her hands, and boy did she surprise us all by taking a wicket in her very first over. And ऐसा भी नहीं है कि किसी random number 10 number 11 को लिया, सीधा सुने लीज को लिया, who make no mistake is a more than decent batter herself. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
a wicket that Smriti can surely be proud of. So Smriti and Sunil Lees are the names Neha has gone for in terms of highest run scorer today. I'm going for Priya Punya. I'm all for underdog series, all for comebacks and whatnot. Would love to see her come good, and it'll sort of close that arc out really well. You know, not being a part of the WPL, not getting bought at all, वहाँ से अभी अचानक से, you know, turning a new leaf and whatnot would make for a great story. For South Africa, I'm sticking to Tasman Brits. Three in a row. Avi, I'm hoping कि आज काम कर जाए, because again, I really think she's due a knock, and like I agree with Jeet ki she is agricultural. She tries to use a lot of those big strong biceps she has, and there's no reason why she shouldn't. But I still think कि भाई चिन्नास्वामी जैसे ग्राउंड में जहाँ बाउंड्रीज इतने छोटे हैं, if she clicks, she'll go big, she'll go massive.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
just hoping she comes good today. So I'm going for Tasman Brits and यहाँ पे कौन था? Of course, Priya Punya.
Priya
In terms
Punya.
of results, I'm hoping for a South Africa win, yeah, because I want it to be, मतलब थोड़ा उनके लिए भी चाहिए. Surely the way they played in the second ODI, they deserve a victory. They should have won that. I wish यार, मतलब इतना जोर से चीखा मैं जब वो यार नडीन डिक्लर्क आउट हुई, because that's why the game changed. मुझे वहीं पे लगा कि ये खत्म है game, because I didn't see Laura getting the strike, and yep, of course. So that is that. In terms of the first, or rather the third ODI, of course, preview of the third ODI, we're already one ball into live action. So it is time for us to cut the short. Shriyanka Patil is bowling, so that only means one thing. I have to shut shop and run home and check what's happening right now. We'll come back with the review of the ODI as and when the game is done, and we'll be talking about how Tasman Blitz came up with that blitzkrieg of a knock, and why I was correct in choosing her, of course. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jeet will be back for the review. Unfortunately, he had some other commitments, wasn't able to make it. See you guys 5 to 10 minutes after the game ends. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us. Have a great game and have a great, great, great Sunday.